Hello and welcome to CadoinkStudios. I am Cadoink, and this is game number 3 between Blackhawk and jcarson. Blackhawk took game number 1, jcarson took game number 2, and so the winner of this will be the winner of the best of 3 series, and we'll be moving on to round number 2 of the Gold and Below tournament. For those of you who do not know, the Gold and Below tournament is a tournament that was hosted on the Battle.net by Animus, and so this is for Gold League players, Silver League players, Bronze League players, and I think Animus is going to do a few more of these. It's just to get people involved in the community and involved in StarCraft 2 and get people who are in the lower leagues involved in tournament play. And so I'm very excited for this tournament that is going on. I'm very excited for more of these tournaments to happen, and I'm very thankful to be able to cast this for you guys today. So let's introduce our players. Spawning in the top left we have Blackhawk, Green Terran player. He is saying GLHF, pretty usual thing. And his opponent saying GD, HF is the Teal Zerg player jcarson. Good duck. Good duck says jcarson. Good luck is absolute. Don't know where he's going with this. Good luck is absolute. Absolute? I don't really know what jcarson is trying to hear yet. Say. I'd rather have good duck. Thank you. So some very nice friendly chat between the two players. Yeah. So it looks like jcarson is going for that 15 hatch once again. He is natural. He did this in game number 2. Which got him a win. In game number 1, he kind of took a secret base and lost because of it, I would say. Hugely because of it. And so, yeah, he's transitioning into a much more normal kind of safer kind of play, if you ask me. So, yeah, have the spawning pool going down. Normal things, this is Ohana. Ohana is a new map. It's one of my favorite maps. It's just absolutely beautiful. I mean, look at this map. I'll just kind of scroll around through it. You have all these nice little areas. You have these little trees. The sand is kind of a nice color as well as the grass. It's just a great map. It looks great. It's a great tile set. You have this nice little water area. It makes you really feel like you're in kind of this islandy sort of place. And there aren't enough maps that have variety, in my opinion. And this is perhaps one of the most different maps in my eyes. So I'm very thankful for Blizzard putting it onto the ladder. It just looks absolutely beautiful. I love it. And the other thing is, I feel like it's a pretty balanced map. You have this very nice natural that is protected by this ramp, but you also have this little back door with rocks that you can kind of break down to get into your third, which is a fairly defendable third. I mean, you have this little area right here in between this little bit of brush and these rocks that can be destroyed, which will actually widen this area just a little bit. And so I really like that. It's a pretty nice third. And then the fourth is kind of out there. It's kind of far away. It gives you a nice kind of arc. If you look, you get there, and then you go there. And so you get this nice arc, each player kind of arcing around the map, cutting the map kind of in half. And then you have to make sure you defend both this ramp and then this area here so that they don't get around. And so this watchtower here helps you do that. So you can do a lot of really nice things defending your base with the watchtower, and then when you need to take a fifth, you can take this, which is often very difficult to defend. You have this kind of brush here that players can walk through, as well as this kind of little sneaky path here that some Hellions could run by and destroy some drones if your base is there. So, very nice map. I am very thankful to have it. Very excited to see players play on this map. It's one of my favorites. And so I think it was a good choice for game number 3. With all that to say, good choice. So we have Blackhawk building some Marines up. He has a reactor on his barracks. This is very different from game number 1. Game number 1 and 2. Game number 1, he went 2 racks and then a barracks with a tech lab. His first barracks had a tech lab, and then he went a factory. In this game, it looks like he's going for a 2 factory with starport. So maybe more of a mech sort of play, getting Marines and then tanks, as he does have 2 factories with tech labs on each of them. Okay, no. I thought that was... I was excited. I was hoping that was going to be an armory, and he was going to build Thors. But this is a very good decision. If you're going any kind of mech play, you really want an earlier expansion. It's going to leave you with a lot of minerals, but you absolutely have to have that gas in order to support it, as it's very, very gas heavy. And so I like this. Blackhawk taking an expansion is a very good decision. In the meantime, jcarson is getting his lair up, so he will have that soon. He's getting some banelings as well. The baneling Zergling Infestor mix worked very, very well in game number 2, so hopefully it'll work out for him in game number 3 as well. Looks like he has some banelings in his front as well as a couple Zerglings, just kind of defending there. And yeah, both players just kind of teching up, doing their normal thing. It looks like kind of a mixed build from Blackhawk. He is getting another barracks. Often when you go mech, you just skip that barracks. So yeah, that's a very interesting choice by him. He also has the starport. I suspect he'll start building... I don't really know what he'll start building on that. If he's going to be going mech, he doesn't really need Hellions. Oh, he's going to get a tech lab. Hellions. I meant medevac. He is going to be getting a tech lab, so probably we'll see either a Raven or some Banshees, both of which will be a very, very good choice. He knows that his opponent goes for a lot of ground units like Zerglings, like Banelings, like Roaches and Infestors, and so it's a great decision by him, I think, to go for Banshee or any kind of air play. Might even go Sky Terran, that'd be cool. Well, he can't really go Sky Terran at this point, but it is an interesting build. I haven't actually tried it yet on the ladder. I ought to do that. But it looks like both players kind of have stagnant production right now, not producing too much. Like I said before, mech is very, very gas heavy, and it looks like actually the opposite's kind of happening. He has enough gas, he doesn't have enough minerals, which is good, which is okay. He needs to be continuing to produce SCVs. And look at this, getting the Baneling speed up a lot earlier than in game number 1 and game number 2, and so this is going to make a huge difference, in my opinion, as Banelings are just so strong. And when they're fast and they're on creep, it's just, oh man, it's hard to deal with as a Terran player or as any player for any kind of reason. Banelings are just really, really good. So I like that decision by him. Also getting that burrow, we saw how effective the burrowing Baneling mines were for jcarson, and we'll see how Blackhawk deals with that. He's getting tanks like he did in game number 1. Tanks were very, very effective in game number 1, and he did not build them in game number 2. So hopefully this will help him protect his army a little more, help him deal with those Banelings that were hurting him so bad in game number 2. And it looks like he is actually producing medevacs, probably doesn't have the gas he needs to produce tanks 2 at a time, as well as, say, something like a Raven or a Banshee. Well, actually medevacs and Banshee cost the same amount of gas, and look at this, getting an armory up, so it looks like he is either going to be getting upgrades for his tanks, or he'll be going for some kind of Thor play. Might be doing a Thor drop with the medevac that he has produced. Looks like, ooh, jcarson is wanting to move around the map with his Banelings. This might do a lot of damage, however, he won't be able to follow it up with much of anything else. Oh, wow, this is very cool. He's burrowing them around this little rock area, so when Blackhawk moves out, he can very easily just unburrow and kill a lot of his units when Blackhawk is not suspecting it. Luckily for Blackhawk, he has a lot of siege tanks, which actually will tank a lot of the damage from the Banelings. So if he manages to hit the tanks rather than the Marines, it won't do the damage it needs to do. But in the meantime, jcarson is doing another really good decision. He's taking a third base. Would really like to see that third here rather than here. However, just taking a third and spending those minerals is very good. As you can see, his minerals are very, very high. And so he can just continue to produce. He needs to make sure he's doing his larva injects. But taking a third, having that third hatchery will allow him to produce more units. And oh my goodness, I must have missed some crazy Baneling action. I'm very sorry about that. I'm sure it was cool. I'm sure Blackhawk managed to hold it off really well. Shoot. Sorry about that. I figured those were just going to sit there until Blackhawk decided to move out and get attacked. But that's alright. jcarson's not that far behind. Actually, whoa, losing about 2,000 minerals worth of Banelings, but that's alright. He is just fine. He's on 3 base. He has a lot of minerals of his own, and he has a nice army. In fact, if we look at the army tab, he's actually ahead of Blackhawk with some Zerglings and some Infestors. Also getting a Spore Crawler up. And I don't know if you can hear that, but my phone is going off in the background, and I don't have a clue who's calling. Well, that's alright. I will call him back when this replay is over. Hopefully it's not someone who really needs me. I don't know if you can hear that. That'll be really funny if y'all can hear that. It'll be really even funnier if you can recognize what it is. But yeah. Some normal stuff. We got some infestors moving across the map. If I could give one advice to Jay Carson, I would say to keep all your units together and send them all. Don't just send infestors out, as they can very, very easily get picked off, and they're very valuable units, so you really don't want them out on the field alone. You more want them in the back of your army, just kind of supporting your Zerglings, supporting your Roaches and your Banelings and those sort of units. Looks like Blackhawk will spot Jay Carson's third base, so he will be trying to take out whatever he can with the Banshees, and that's going to be very, very obnoxious for Jay Carson, as he doesn't really have anything to deal with that. He could pull these infestors down and fungal growth them, but other than that, he does not have any spore crawlers. He doesn't have a queen here to try and deal with it. He has a spire, but he does not have any kind of anti-air. Not producing any corruptors either. He really needs to, as that'll help him save this hatchery, which is about to go down. Oh no, hatchery does indeed fall. And yeah, so it looks like he will lose that base. But very, very nice. Jay Carson putting some spore crawlers here, pushing away those Banshees, keeping them out of his main, and another spore crawler in his natural. However, Blackhawk just trying to get into every little spot he can and try to do as much damage as he can with those Banshees. Even uncloaking, because he knows he, has this Overseer following around, so he doesn't really need to waste that energy. And oh, here comes the Corruptors finally coming out on the field. They will be able to pick off. Oh, maybe not. Maybe those are quicker. That's interesting. What is the movement speed on these guys? Movement speed 2.75, 2.95. Yeah, so Corruptors are a little bit quicker, so they will not catch up. Did just make it home, and yeah, looks like Blackhawk is looking fine. If these pop up and do some fungal growth and then pop back down and run away, it could do a lot of damage. But also it looks like Jay Carson is wanting to spend his money. He's producing a ton of Corruptors right now, in fact 14. So I suspect we'll be seeing Broodlords. However, losing that third base is going to hurt him a lot, as he needs that gas in order to produce the Broodlords he wants. Looks like Blackhawk is keeping control of his front. Jay Carson is really kind of leery of moving up there. Should just pull his infestors back, keep them at home. There's no reason for them to be there. They won't really do the damage they need to do. If they spawn down Marines everywhere or infested Terran, these siege tanks will pick them off very, very quickly. In fact, what would be cool is if he popped one into the middle of those Marines. Oh, he's going to pop some. Siege tank's doing a little bit of splash damage on the Marines, which is actually very, very cool. But in the same time, it's not really doing the damage it needs to do. He's just kind of wasting energy, and he does get a scan off, and so Jay Carson will be trying to run away with his infestors, losing one. Oh wow, and it looks like a lot of the Marines did actually die, as they did kind of get out of the range of the siege tank fire. And oh no, catching those last two off guard. Actually, two more survive. Oh, maybe not. Spoke too soon. Ooh, the infestor just barely survives. He really needs to run home with that. That's what I was saying before. Like, if he could get a fungal growth off in a battle, that will be much more useful than doing these little attacks, as he just kind of wasted all the energy of these infestors and lost a few of them. So now Blackhawk is looking very, very good. However, look at this. A ton of Zerglings for Jay Carson. Jay Carson. Really wish they had Zergling speed, but they do not. That's alright. But we also do see a lot of Broodlords, 4 Broodlords, as well as a ton of Corruptors, so he will be able to take care of any Vikings that come. Very unluckily for him, though, Blackhawk has made quite a bit of Thors and Marines, which are going to do very, very well against just Infestor. Just Corruptor. Just Broodlord Corruptor. Because the Infestors won't be able to fungal growth the Marines, shutting them down. So it looks like the two armies are going to engage. These Broodlords are going to be caught a little bit off guard. Broodlord's very, very slow. So now he's moving in with his Thors. He will be able to, wow, very, very damage these two. And now he's just kind of going for the Corruptors. He should be going for these Broodlords. Another one goes down. 2 more left. This is looking very, very bad for Jay Carson. He only has 2 Broodlords and he doesn't have much else. Yeah, it looks like they will go down to the Marine fire. Very, very sad to lose broodlords like that. And like I said before, you need to keep your army together. These Zerglings could have done a lot of damage. They could have surrounded the Marines and kept them from going anywhere, as well as the Thors just surround them. And now you've let your opponent siege up his tanks, take over this watchtower, and have map control. So you really got to keep your army together. In the meantime, nothing really happening. We have some banelings moving out. Once again, completely alone. They will be picked off really, really easily. In fact, not even A-clicking. So they will be moving in. Most of them dying to these Thors, as the Thors can tank them very, very easily. And so now Blackhawk will be moving forward. He needs to siege up his tanks. And a lot of Zerglings coming in. So what I was talking about before, the Zerglings can surround everything, but now without any other units to do any damage, Zerglings just go down very, very quickly. So now it looks as though jcarson is in a huge world of hurt. He doesn't really have anything left except 3 morphing broodlords. One of them, in fact, going down before it was even completed. And yeah, this is looking very, very bad for jcarson. I don't really know what he can do in this position. These broodlords are going to go down very quickly, as well as this hatchery. A few Zerglings coming in, they will be able to do a lot of damage to these Thors. In fact, picking off 2 of them, very nice. And the last Thor will actually go down to the hatchery. So it looks like Blackhawk will be continuing to move forward with his tanks. He thinks he can do more damage, and I believe he can. He probably, I don't know if he could run those tanks away. We'll have to see. It looks like jcarson burrowing his drones. That's very, very annoying. And so he will be moving forward using his tanks. Really shouldn't siege at this position. I guess it's fine. He's not going to lose the tank, and now he can try to target down as much as he can while continuing to build another army. It looks like he's getting Vikings up, as well as some more Thors and some Marines. These are going to be very strong against this Broodlord Corruptor mix. Anything that attacks air. Looks like jcarson has his 3rd backup. He's getting gas. He really needs to be getting some minerals as well, as he's quite low on minerals. But he was able to take out those tanks with his broodlords, and now he's going to be going on the offensive. And this could be very strong. However, it looks like a lot of Vikings and a lot of Thors finally on the map. Blackhawk even accidentally walling his units in a little bit. I've done that plenty of times. Many games where I discovered I had like 5 tanks hiding around somewhere that would have really helped me in an engagement. And so yeah, he's just going to be rallying his units together and getting ready to take on this huge force of Corruptors and Broodlords. I'm interested to see, wow, he has 12 Corruptors and 3 Broodlords. And right now his economy is really hurting. This is nice. He's finally saturating his 3rd. His main is completely mined out, and his natural is destroyed. Would like to see him retake his natural if possible. Cue Mass Effect 3 music now. He's saying that as he moves into Blackhawk's base. jcarson being oh so clever. Trying to attack these starports so that no more Vikings can come out, but here it comes. A lot of Thors and Vikings coming to do as much damage as they can. Looks like the Vikings are going to go down very quickly to the mass number of Corruptors, but now there's a ton of Marines left, and the Thor's range is just ridiculous. It's going to be forcing these Broodlords and Corruptors back for a little bit. And yeah, this is kind of a standoff inside of Blackhawk's base. He will be morphing in some more Corruptors, in fact 4 more, so that'll make a total of 7, and Corruptors, the more you have, the stronger they get. Could be scary. Might even flank with the Broodlords. Excuse me, I meant Broodlords. Could even try to flank with the Broodlords. That would be very effective, actually. If he could keep poking back and forth, keeping the Thors right here, and then moving his the rest of his Broodlords up here to attack the main, that could be very effective. And it looks like Blackhawk is going to be moving around. But this is kind of a poor decision, as the Broodlords will be able to just fly up into the main, and as you know, Thors are very, very slow. It looks like the Corruptors are going to go down very quickly, but not before taking out the rest of the Vikings. And so now jcarson is just kind of having a field day inside of Blackhawk's base. A lot of Broodlords destroying everything. Luckily for Blackhawk, he is Terran, and Terran can just lift off, but not the armory. Oh, the poor armory, no. It will go down very, very quickly. And yeah, now he will be once again moving across. This is great. jcarson just having awesome positioning. Very sadly for him, though, a Viking has now popped out, and so the Viking will be able to stop this. And oh man, nice flanking with his Thors. keeping Jay Carson kind of in a poor position. And so he will be able to take out the rest of the Broodlords. Very nice play by Blackhawk. Very nice hold, protecting his base like that. However, Broodlords are strong, and he's going to pull one of these Thors into the red. Might even... Nope. Oh man, this Thor's getting dangerously low, but it does manage to survive. And the game does go on, indeed. It looks like Jay Carson is trying to take up some more bases, taking another base. This will be his 4th base. Technically he's 30, he only has 3. Moving all his overlords together. This is really cool. Look at all these overlords. Just tons of them. 2 little triangle sort of formation. Just kind of moving them to the side. It looks like he will be continuing to produce drones, also taking another base, so he'll have a very strong economy if he can get all these bases up and running. However, it looks like Blackhawk has a huge army. Look at this. 7? Is that 7 Thors? My goodness. Army supply is 72 to 18. This is going to be very, very strong for Blackhawk if he goes out and attacks anytime soon. Looks like production is a little bit stagnant for him. Really needs to be pumping out. Oh, he can't pump out any more Thors because he doesn't have the armory. That's right. So it was very effective. It looks like he just wants to move out across the map. This is going to be good. It's going to be very, very strong as there's not much in the way for Jay Carson. Going back to the army tab, only 22 army to the 77 of Blackhawk. So this could be very, very dangerous. However, in the meantime, these Broodlords as well as some Corruptors are moving to the top of the map. They will be able to go in and try to attack. However, luckily for Blackhawk, he does have a planetary fortress, which will help him quite a bit. Looks like Blackhawk getting into the natural of Jay Carson. He's going to be picking off these 2 extractors, and then probably moving up into the main, actually just leaving that one behind. Also taking 2 more bases, 3 more bases, excuse me, very wise. Just in case any kind of crazy base trade situation happens, which looks like Jay Carson is going to try to force again, as he does have 2 Corruptors up in the front, and nothing to defend his own main. In fact, at this point, the game is essentially over. Really should GG. There's not really anything he can do. There are 2 Broodlords here and 2 Corruptors, which isn't very many, and with this many Marines and this many Vikings, this is essentially game number 1 all over again. We have 1 more Corruptor going up north, as well as a huge little pack of... just a huge pack of Overlords. And the main does fall for Jay Carson. Looks like he will have to start reproducing things. Really needs to put down another spawning pool if he hopes to survive. However, with just 3 kind of naked mining bases, he can't do much. He is moving in with his 2 Broodlords. They are going to take forever to kill this planetary fortress, as Blackhawk can just repair it for basically eternity if he wants to. And look at that, planetary fortress just crushing those Broodlings before they're able to do that much. And it looks like he's also sending out his other little squad of Marines to take care of everything else. He knows these Broodlords don't matter. They're just kind of sitting there getting crushed. And so he can just continue to take out the bases. He did take out this one right here. He will be moving down and taking out this one. And so, yeah, I think this is basically it for Jay Carson. He's going to be putting down a ton of hatcheries in the middle of the map. 4, in fact. I don't know, at this point it's just kind of BM. There's really nothing you can do. Your Broodlords are taking forever to kill this planetary fortress, and Blackhawk can just repair it at some point if he chooses to, which he doesn't even really need to. So yeah, this is not looking good at all for Jay Carson. In fact, yep, Blackhawk repairing it, already has it back up into the green. Wow. Yeah, this is just going to take way, way too long for Jay Carson to deal with, and it looks like all he has left are these 4 hatcheries, which aren't doing anything. They're not even completed yet, and I suspect Blackhawk will find it as soon as he moves across the map. In fact, these Zerglings are going to go right by one of them, and he'll start to attack it. Yeah. This is basically over. Another game just kind of going on. Oop, Broodlings. could save the day, maybe? Nope. Yeah, this game is over. So congratulations, Blackhawk. I'm gonna go ahead and congratulate you, because if by some reason you lose at this point, it's some sort of miraculous Broodlord micro craziness or something. So congratulations, Blackhawk. You will be moving on to round number 2. This is the last cast for round number 1, unless I find those Red Hat games. If any of you have them, send them to me. I suppose this is the end. Yes, J. Carson. Actually, not quite. The end was about 5 minutes ago, but that's alright. Blackhawk saying, yep. Oh man. J. Carson saying perhaps one of the coolest things I've ever read in StarCraft. One day we will meet on the field of battle once again. And then he left. That is way cooler than saying GG. You know what, guys? For a whole week, you guys, instead of saying GG, you should say one day we will meet on the field of battle once again, and then leave every time you lose. That'd be just super sweet. I feel like that'd make games feel so much more epic rather than just saying good game. But you should also say good game. It's good manners, you know. Don't just not say nothing. Not say. I'm gonna go. This was a 35-minute cast after 2 other casts, so I'm gonna go get a drink of water. Thanks again for watching. Good luck, Blackhawk, in round number 2, and we will see you guys in round number 2.